Hey, I'm your host, TheDoctorDanko, come on in. You've been missing out, so let's begin. Pumpkin_crumb is your host here too. When you hear the beats, you know what to do. Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me now? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me? Hey. Good evening and welcome to Why Did Not You Warn Me? I'm your host Matthew, the Dr. Danko.
And I'm Hillary Crumb. Why do you start at 5 to count down?
Why would I do it at 3?
Because it's shorter. We don't have to just sit here and stare at each other while you count.
Because I need the room tone silence.
Oh, so there's an actual reason.
Yeah.
You're not just trying to be cool.
No.
Oh, who knew?
Anywho.
You went to film school.
Don't do that. I mean, I did study sound, but...
Yeah, I know.
By no choice of my own.
There's a sexy little picture of you holding a boom mic. It's very cute.
It's alright.
It's very cute.
Anyways.
So
welcome.
Here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot has happened, but also only one thing has happened.
Pretty much since our last episode, which was sometime in March.
That long ago.
3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe.
Something like that. And just to give you a hint, it wasn't that we watched Crimes of Grindelwald.
No, it was not. Although we did watch it, and we'll get into that later on.
But spoilers, we were thoroughly underwhelmed.
Yeah.
You adjusting me?
No, you're fine. This
okay.
is just the mic itself.
Oh.
So, what, do you want to just get right into it? Or...
I mean, I haven't read anything particularly interesting since the last time we talked, when I
Cool.
talked about Beartown, so...
Yeah, I didn't really watch much.
We've been watching The Good Wife.
Yeah.
Because I've been stressed. What else is new?
Right.
So, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
So, there's this, little indie film, but I don't know if, many of you have heard of it, but we were really excited about it. It's called Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, it's one of those, under-the-radar type
movies.
If
you know about it, you were really excited. It's like a cult classic.
Yeah.
Except the cult is every living person.
From all different age groups.
Yeah.
Just everyone.
I want to say across cultures, but I don't know how accurate that is.
I think it is.
It's starting to,
No. Yes, but those are two different things. I think it's going to become more culturally aware, but I don't think it's not tapped into other cultures just because of its size, alone, the Marvel phenomenon.
I would be curious to see, demographic stats on who is the most into, the MCU. Mm-hmm. Because I would bet that there are a lot of white people that are really into it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just because representation has been so scarce. And by white people, I mean, I bet there are a lot of white dudes.
Right.
I don't know. That's not the point.
Right, no.
But as a sociologist, by degree only, I would be fascinated to see that breakdown.
Well, just Google it.
That's fair. Or I could do the study. Anyway, Endgame came out.
Yes. So, it has been 3 weeks since it's come out. But we're still going to put spoilers all over this episode.
Absolutely, because, so obviously, so we saw it twice.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing it the second time, knowing everything that happened, did not in any way lessen the impact.
Right.
But if we had known the first time, going into it, what happened, it just would have been a different experience.
Yeah, certain things being spoiled. And, I know some people just don't give a shit about spoilers, but... we want to, make it as clear as possible that we are going to spoil this movie.
Right.
So
and
anybody,
if you don't like that, stop listening.
And so anybody that hasn't seen it, just go watch the movie.
And also, don't be a dick to people that haven't seen the movie yet.
Right.
Don't spoil it for someone else, because that's rude.
Although, if a certain amount of time goes by where you haven't seen it, then that's on you.
Right, and also it sort of displays a lack of super interest.
So that those who didn't want to get it spoiled probably went opening weekend at the very least.
We waited until Sunday of opening weekend, and we were terrified.
Yeah.
Like, even, not just of going on the internet, but, like, walking into the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if there are people walking out of the last show that fucking ruined this for me, I'm going to be so mad.
Yeah.
And also, that was my attitude, not even being particularly excited about the movie, because, like, straight up, I told you guys, I hate you guys, anyone who's
our
listening.
Listeners, yeah.
Our listeners, I told you that I hated Infinity War. And I was like, well, that was really stupid. Why do I care about the second one?
I mean, I even had this sort of similar attitude. Not that I hated Infinity War. It was just a bit boring in some places, but I wasn't as excited for Endgame just because, I don't know, I didn't really watch any trailers for it. But,
I mean, and, like, the theory was we already did that.
Yeah. I did use a lot of my excitement for Infinity War.
Yeah.
And this was more or less a part 2.
Yeah,
so,
and the problem that I've restated thousands of times is that I did not know there was going to be a part 2,
right.
which would have changed how I felt about Infinity War. But it's too late for that. They
right.
already fucked me on that one. But I will say, with how unenthusiastic I was going into Endgame, oh my god, it was so good. It was so good.
Probably one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
It was so, like, I'm
and
still
I went
not.
to film school.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I don't care about movies.
No.
I loved Endgame. It was everything that I wanted Infinity War to be, and that it wasn't. Oh my! I'm not emotionally over it.
Right.
I don't know that I ever will be.
No, and I don't think, for me at least, like, I say this all the time, I get very emotionally attached to movies, like, while I'm watching it, and I'll pretty much like anything. While I'm in my seat just watching the movie. Like, this movie's in color. This is the most amazing thing ever. But even, like, thinking about Endgame after the fact, there was nothing I really had a problem with. It was just all, like, 100% just fantastic.
Yeah.
And such an amazing feat of, like, cinematic history.
Yeah.
But also comic book history, and, like, something that I'm sure Stan Lee and everyone who read comics back in the beginning just had no idea what it would become.
Yeah, they couldn't have dreamed that outcome.
Yeah.
I mean, because doing good superhero movies was pretty unrealistic until a couple of years ago.
Right, because
like, let alone.
they were just, like, they were a very small subgenre of, like, this is cool, they're based on comic book characters, and they're wearing similar outfits, if not the actual outfit from the books, but nobody really predicted what it could become.
And I think we've talked about this. They sort of, before, like, Marvel Studios started making their own movies, superhero movies were sort of treated as action movies.
Yeah.
And, like, it sounds like such a subtle distinction, but Marvel really defined the form of the superhero movie.
Right.
Because it's different. Like, you're not watching it necessarily because of what happens. You're watching it because you're in love with this character.
Yeah.
Which is a different way of telling a story.
Not to always bring DC up in a conversation about Marvel, but that's exactly how their movies are still being treated, like action movies or crime dramas, instead of being what they are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with how massive, over the 10-year span that Marvel has made these movies to almost perfection, it's going to be very hard for DC to do something different, or, like, give us something that, we weren't expecting from them. And now if they try to even dive into the superhero comic book format, it might feel
like it's been done already.
Like we're already tired of it from 10 years.
There has been a lot of Marvel saturation.
Yeah.
And we've definitely talked about that. How they should have just starved us before Endgame.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it wasn't going to affect their sales anyway, because this, like, it broke all kinds of records, the box office.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, though, that, like, Spider-Man Far From Home is still going to come out this year.
Yeah.
After Endgame. Like,
I need some time to recover.
Yeah, Endgame should have been the only Marvel movie released.
In 2019.
Between Infinity War and now. Like,
yeah.
But...
And there were just two.
There was Captain Marvel.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. And... No, I guess that was...
I think that was it.
That was it.
But still.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we knew Far From Home was happening.
Yeah.
Which was, like, spoilers.
Yeah, it was a bit weird. Which was unfortunate. but...
Yeah, I think we've talked about that.
Yeah, we definitely did in the last episode.
Right.
But
anyway...
Yeah, we'll get right into it.
So, like, from minute one, it's already broken the formula.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, yeah, like, every Marvel movie is, like, basically the same shape. But that doesn't seem to matter because we love them every time. Like, very few of them have sucked. I mean, some of them have been subpar, but very few of them have outright sucked. But Endgame was just totally different.
Yeah. So, again, spoilers, because we're going to get into details. But
yeah, stop listening.
Stop listening, yes, for sure. But the movie starts out with Clint on the farm with his family.
Teaching his daughter
how to
shoot a bow and arrow.
Arrow.
Hawkeye, and it's really cute.
And the mom is like making the picnic and stuff, and like they're just like, "What do you want on your hot dogs?" and things like that.
Yeah.
Very like middle America.
Yeah,
type
typical
family
farm
stuff.
family.
Yeah. And then Clint turns around, and
they're gone.
All of them just vanished.
And we all know what's happening because we watched Infinity War, unfortunately.
Yeah. And he's like calling out for his family that's not there. Like you just see the dust. It's not even like in focus. You can just kind of see it in the background, and it's like, oh my god.
And like I sort of knew when we saw Clint with his kids, I was like, they're gonna fucking disappear. They're gonna go. They're gonna go. And then they did. I cried before they rolled like the title card. Is that what it is? Yeah. Before it said Avengers Endgame, I was already in tears, which great. But oh man, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the first chunk, the first thing they do is they get everybody together and they're like, we're gonna go fight Thanos because we have to, because they're the Avengers and that's what they do.
Yeah.
And they figure out where he is, and like straight up Thor murders Thanos. Like just cuts his fucking head off.
Well, I mean, yes, but the information they get before he murders him,
yeah.
It's important to the fucking plot.
I just hate Thanos and I hate giving him any airtime.
So the reason they find him is because there's an energy signature that matches the one that happened on Earth when he used the stone.
When he snapped.
Yes, when he did the snap and dusted half of the universe's population.
Dusted?
Yeah.
It's a Buffy thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's exactly what happened.
Okay.
But then they find, so he uses the stones again, and they track down his location, but he used the stones to destroy the stones.
Which means that everybody that got snapped is really gone.
Yeah.
Which was really important for them to do, because I left Infinity War going, great, they're dead, whatever.
I know.
So they spent like the first 15 minutes of the movie being like, Really? They're really gone.
5 years gone.
Yeah, and then they spent a significant amount of time showing us what that world looked like. Which was really sad.
It put it, like, right into reality. Like, take a break from the quips and the comic book fighting, and it's just, like...
It was a very different movie.
Post-apocalyptic type shit.
And I was riveted. Which, like, I've always said that I love the Marvel movies because of, like, the quippy one-liners and the fun stuff, but holy shit, they had me, like, right there.
And I think that's part of the thing is, like, as much as there has been, like, real drama, like, intermixed throughout all the Marvel movies...
Nothing of this scale.
You have 10 years of, like, fun.
Yeah.
And then when you get to Infinity War, where it ends on such a down note, where half of everyone is gone, and then the reality is, 5 years later, everyone's still gone. They have no stones. They have they can't do
no
anything.
way to fix it.
All they can do is move on.
Yeah, because they're
rebuild.
really gone.
And it's devastating.
It was a really important thing that they had to set up because they had to make us really believe it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. I'm sure a lot of people didn't. We're like, all right, whatever.
Well, yes, there's the argument of, like, on the business side of it, you don't kill, like,
half your franchise, or people are going to be rioting in the streets.
And, like, Spider-Man, who everyone fucking loves after how many Spider-Man movies that exist?
Right.
Like, you're going to kill him.
Everyone fucking knew Far From Home was coming out, and they were like, it could be back in time. Sure it could, Marvel. You fucked up. We all know you fucked up. You didn't mean to drop that trailer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But,
so yeah, they made us believe it. And I will say the second time we watched it, that part of it did drag a bit. But that was because I got it. I was with them already.
But
they didn't have to sell me on it.
Yeah, it's also more so not just because you have seen it all, but because of how many cool things happen in the movie, you're just waiting for it to happen again.
For the really cool shit.
And we're going to get into that, but we'll stick with the plot.
The linear.
Yeah, the linear.
So the thing that they did fairly brilliantly, among the many fairly brilliant things they did in this movie, was during this, like, doom and gloom, serious sadness chunk of the movie, they brought Scott Lang back, which was perfect. That was exactly what they needed, because all of our major players are sad. Yeah. Capital S, sad.
Like, Iron Man was trapped in space with Nebula.
Right.
About to die, like, running out of oxygen and food and things like that.
Carol Danvers
just
brought
shows
their
up.
spaceship back to Earth, which was great.
Which was dope.
She was great.
So Cap is, like, just, like, trying to be positive in a world that's just not.
Yeah.
And, he has, like, a support group of, like, people that have lost loved ones and things.
One of whom is it Joe Russo?
I think so.
Talking about going on a date with a man, and everyone's like, oh my god, Marvel's so inclusive. Like, okay, they threw a crumb. And
yes, okay. I think it's stupid that people made such a big deal out of it. Because while we do want more representation,
it doesn't fucking count.
It doesn't really count. It's cool that they did it,
right? But it shouldn't.
It's a very small thing that's like, oh, okay, so they're at least acknowledging it.
Cap said gay rights.
Yeah,
like, that's great. He was like, yeah, tell me about the date you went on with a man. Like, no big deal, because that's what Captain America would do.
Exactly.
Very legit. Yeah, and it was good that they did it. It should not have been made a big deal.
Right.
Because, whatever.
And then, like, now Black Widow is kind of like
running Command Central.
Yeah, not SHIELD, but like they don't really give it a name. Yeah, just keeping in touch with everyone that's still left, like, as they not fight crime but protect the world the best they can. And then
Carol Danvers gets a beautiful butch haircut.
Yeah.
That, oh my god, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what about it. It just works.
Fuckboys on the internet are being like, I'm sad they cut her hair. She's not hot anymore. And I'm like, you're blind.
Do they really say that?
Yeah, I reblogged a Tumblr post that I was going to show you.
Okay.
Also, apparently, I learned from Tumblr, she canonically in the comics has had that haircut for a really long time, which I didn't know.
It just looks really good on Brie Larson.
So good on her. I love it.
I know.
We'll talk about her butch ass pantsuit when we get to the end of it.
But so that's all going on, and Rhodey tells Black Widow that, like, Clint's out there, like, fucking shit up. It's a comic thing.
Oh, okay.
But
that was kind of weird.
Takes on the moniker of Ronin, where he just kills all the bad guys that are left, because, Thanos snapped half of the entire universe's population, and these fuckers are left when they took his family, so he just goes and murders all of the bad guys.
Yeah, and, like, I got that, but
I know.
It wasn't one of the more impressive things that happened in the movie.
No, but...
Okay. Also, there's already a character called Ronan.
Yeah.
He's different. He's Lee Pace.
Yes, I know.
Okay, I'm just telling you. The Pie Maker's in space.
Right.
Anyway.
So,
so Clint's fucking off.
Yeah, just destroying everyone, and it sets up something later on in the movie, but...
Yeah, Cap is leading his support group, which is exactly what he would do. It's very cute. They reminded us about Peggy about 4,000 times.
Yeah.
Because of where they were going with that. Yeah, like... and then Scott Lang... Somehow, like, an accident of circumstances gets brought back.
It's a rat. A rat
turns on a quantum
the
whatever.
Quantum tunnel.
The quantum tunnel, right.
From Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Which, I'm so glad we watched that movie.
Yeah, like, just before.
Because, like, that was, like, the only one we had skipped.
Yeah.
I was like, where the fuck was Ant-Man? What's happening?
So, yeah, at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, they're testing the quantum tunnel. Scott goes inside of it, and then his whole team gets dusted outside.
Yeah.
And he's just stuck in there.
And we're like, what?
And so the van gets impounded. It's still in the back of the van, and then
a rat crawls across the console.
And I only wanted to mention that because online, like, all the people that do toy customs, and it was like, he should come with a little rat because he was a big player in this, or else none of this would happen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Scott Lang was kind of the linchpin.
I was talking about the rat. The rat, like, if the rat doesn't turn on the machine.
Yeah, I know, but
it just does. But
all right,
yes,
great.
okay.
So Scott Lang came back, bringing
out
with him the comedic timing, which is great. Thank God his daughter didn't get dusted, because then he would have been as dark and sad as everyone else.
Right.
Oh my God, that would have been awful. Also, I love his daughter.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a little kid.
Except his daughter is now 5 years older.
Yeah.
So for Scott, while he was stuck in the quantum tunnel, it had only been 5 hours for him.
Right.
While the rest of the world changed over the course of 5 years.
And, like, he comes back, and it's just like, what the fuck happened? And, of course, he's listed among the missing, because as far as his family knows, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Like, so then he goes to find the Avengers.
Yeah. And he's just freaking out, like,
reasonably.
5 years passed, I was in there for only 5 hours, like...
Is that somebody's sandwich?
Yeah.
I'm starving.
Again, very much what that moment needed.
Yes.
And the rest of the movie, just like
comedy.
Having Scott Lang around to do the comedic stuff was a great idea.
It was really, really good, because it did get pretty heavy.
Yeah.
But just injecting a little bit of levity here and there just really, really helped.
Yeah. So Scott is like, when you're that small, there's like a whole tiny universe inside, and time moves differently. So his thought is a time heist. And basically using the quantum tunnel as a time machine to go back in time before Thanos had the stones and bring everyone back.
Right.
So they enlist the help of Tony Stark first.
But he shuts them down.
Yeah.
Because he is married to Pepper. And they have a daughter.
Yeah.
Which is mean. And she's so funny. And he's so cute with her. And I love it endlessly. She loves him 3,000.
All right. Yes. All of that is true. And so Tony's whole thing is that, it would be great if they could bring everyone back, or they could fuck it up worse than it was before
and he can't risk losing what he got.
Yeah.
Everyone else is sort of living in, like, I don't know, just
everyone else is kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Like, they had really nothing else going for them. They were just trying to find ways to move on, and Tony actually did move on. And laid low, like, he was real sick when he got back from space and everything, so much so that he, like, rips the arc reactor off his chest and hands it back to Cap while they have this huge argument.
Right.
And then everyone kind of goes their separate ways, but Tony is like, I'm done.
Yeah.
This is it. We lost, game over. So having that kid is, like, his second chance.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to give that up. So when he says no, there's only one other person that's, like, that we could go to for help. And we cue Bruce Banner, who is actually in his Hulk form.
Which is so funny, because we had just talked about, you had told me about, is it Professor Hulk?
Professor Hulk,
yeah.
Yes.
That's like a combo, like a sentient, I guess, Hulk?
I guess, but it's just the brains of Bruce Banner and the muscle of the Hulk. And I was like, wouldn't that be cool going forward?
And then he showed up and was like, wait, what?
I was just not expecting it. And they're like, and even he's like, yeah, pretty freaky, right? Like,
it was great.
Yeah. So the Hulk has found a way to use the best parts of both of his personalities.
Right.
And they get into this argument about time travel and things, and
about Back to the Future.
Eventually, yes.
Which is bullshit, apparently.
So they have a discussion about, like, the rules of time travel and everything, and Scott Lang is just basing it on movies that he's seen.
And he names a bunch of them, including Die Hard, and then he's like, wait, no, that's not one.
Right. So they get Bruce Banner's help and try to use the quantum tunnel to, like, recreate this by sending Scott Lang back in time and everything. But it just keeps bringing back different ages of Scott. So like he's a baby at one point, he's a teenager, and then he's like an old guy. Nothing's really working. And then, what are you looking at?
Oh, the noise is from the stool. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I thought we were being invaded.
No. And meanwhile, while they're testing out that shit, Tony is back at home just fucking around.
Does it.
And he just figures out time travel.
And he says, "Holy shit."
Yeah.
Or just shit.
Shit.
And his kid is sitting on the step and she goes, "Shit?" She's like, No.
Your mother coined that phrase.
And only she's allowed to say it. It's her word.
Yeah.
His daughter's like, "Juice pops?" And he's like, "That's extortion, but sure." Go to bed or I'm going to sell all your toys.
Right.
Like exactly how Tony Stark would be as a dad.
Mm-hmm. And he has this sort of, it's a semi-problem, but he brings it up with Pepper. He figures out time travel, which is huge. Mm-hmm. And he can either go forward with it or just stop.
Yeah. And
stop and go to bed. And she's like, "Yes, but would you be able to rest?" and he's like, there's just a moment of silence. And then we see Tony's car speeding down the street. He shows up at Avengers HQ.
Also, all of the product placement with the cars just felt much more obvious than it ever has before.
No, it's pretty obvious in all of the Marvel movies.
Well.
I mean, because they also supplement those product placements with commercials that are scenes of the movie, and then they show the car driving through the city being destroyed and shit like that.
Okay.
So maybe I
noticed it a lot more than I ever have.
Okay.
But whatever. Yeah, so he shows up and tells them exactly what they tried that went wrong and why it went wrong, and and then he fixes it. No, he's like, "We got to get the whole team together."
Right, and then he's having this conversation with Cap, this is what we're gonna do instead, and then he gives him back his shield.
Yeah.
Because all the shit that happened in Civil War and everything, it's a huge moment that goes under the radar a little bit, because he has children's toys piled on top of it in his trunk, but he's been holding on to it, knowing one day he's gonna give it back to Cap.
I have to get this out of my garage before my daughter goes sledding on it or something.
So they get the team together. Tony develops these. I think he develops them, maybe not, but quantum suits to withstand the effects of the time travel and shit. And then they need to test it real quick, and they have these vials of PIM particles that help them travel through time. Mm-hmm. They have a finite amount. And Clint goes back in time. He's on his farm again. He hears his daughter's voice. He goes to see her, and then he gets that back to where he was at in time and space originally.
And he's like, "It works."
Yeah.
Wait, but they had to gather everyone first.
Yeah.
The only really important part of that is Thor.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they jump into everyone's what they're currently doing.
Yeah.
And Thor
is real depressed.
Yeah.
And he's drinking and
we
living
didn't really get into all that.
No, whatever. I always get really annoyed when we summarize the whole movie, but
that's why we're talking about it.
Okay, whatever. So, yeah, we find Thor, who's really depressed and drinking a lot of beer and hanging out with is it Korg?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Taika Waititi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, playing video games.
Yeah.
And it's funny. And Thor's
in New Asgard.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're because Asgard was destroyed in Ragnarok and all that stuff. And Thor's just this super depressed, beer drinking schlub of a person.
Nice.
Thank you. And so far from where he originally was.
He's far from home.
He is.
Nailed it.
And so they have to get him back.
And Valkyrie's there.
Yeah.
But she stays at New Asgard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Black
Was Chandler there? Yes. Yes, he was.
And so Black Widow enlists Clint to come back and then we get everyone back.
Right, and then we're good.
And then they test the suits, and then they come up with a plan. So they're like, so where are the stones where we can go back in time to get them?
Because we only have a finite number of these time travel particles.
Particles.
Okay. So they have to pick moments where they have the biggest chance of hopefully getting multiple stones, or being able to just go to like one time to be able to get multiple stones. I said it was right. So this part of the movie, were there like 3 different tracks, 3 different teams? Okay,
because they determined that there's a moment in time where 3 of the stones are in New York City at the same time.
Right.
So that creates one group, and then you have the Power Stone on Morag, because then the Soul Stone is on Vermeer.
Right.
And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the Ether is on Asgard. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so those are your 3 teams. So there are like 3 prongs to this part of the movie, and I really loved one of them and sort of tolerated the other 2.
Yeah.
I liked the Thor part more than the random space part, because so the part that I really, really liked and that I think probably resonated more with a lot of people was that the 3 stones in New York obviously means that we have to go back to the Battle of New York, which Endgame is the culmination of what they started with Avengers. So, they took us right back to, the moment where they first assembled in the battle. It was like, oh my god!
Literally.
There were, 5 or 6 of them, yeah. And they're just, standing there, and we know in our souls that we're about to get the array that we've desperately been waiting for, the whole lineup of the, fucking hundreds of characters at this point. So going back to New York was really, really, really cool. Because, it was the nostalgia thing, going back to the beginning where all of this started. And I thought it was... And they kind of did that with Asgard, but I didn't watch all of Thor 2, so that one didn't hit as hard.
I think it was just the arrangement, because I would have saved that for the last one.
The New York one?
So, you have the 3 separate teams, and even one of those teams is 2 separate teams, but...
Right. Sub-teams.
Yeah. One in space, one on Asgard, and then one in New York.
I mean, Asgard is also space.
I know, but, not just...
Asgard is a defined point in space, not the space mission.
Right. I would have saved, the Battle of New York team.
That should have been the last one.
Should have been the last one.
Yeah, because that would have been a really cool... we've watched... Because we understood that we had to go back in time to get the stones, but one of them was, the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
One of them we saw in Infinity War, which... and then the other one, was Thor 2. So, if we had seen those scenarios play out first, and then gone...
Kind of work backwards.
Yeah, whereas I think they started with the Battle of New York.
They did. Because, the minute they all jump through time and they're coming through, I think when they come into the Battle of New York, you see the portal over the building,
and the big
then
thing.
The Chitauri.
I know the Chitauri were I don't know what the big armored
worm
slug thing was.
And then it cuts to the shot of all of them assembled, it's the same exact scene. They just pulled it from wherever.
Which is perfect, because that that would have been much cooler coming at the culmination.
Yeah.
You're right. Because then everything that happens, because the team that goes back to that moment is Tony and Cap.
Cap, Hulk, and...
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, because Hulk is doing a separate mission. Isn't it just that?
And Scott.
No, and Scott.
Scott's
that's
there,
right.
yeah.
Which, how could any of the other teams have stood a chance?
Yeah.
I don't care about anybody else. I care about those guys.
So I think their first... so we'll go in the order that they showed in the movie.
Sure.
But I think the first stone thereafter is the Tesseract?
I think so.
Yeah, the Power Stone.
I also did not I knew that the Tesseract, that Loki had a thing with the Tesseract, but I didn't realize that the staff and the Tesseract were 2 different stones. and maybe that's stupid, but I thought that the reason the staff was so powerful is because it was the Tesseract. I don't know. That just never clicked for me.
Right.
So so I was confused, but there was enough else going on that I didn't care that much about being confused.
Right.
Yeah, and then the third one is the Doctor Strange thing.
The time stone.
Again, like, whatever.
I mean, it's a pretty fucking important one, though.
I know. I understand that it's a pretty fucking important one, but...
in terms of enjoyability,
yeah,
Doctor Strange was one that felt subpar.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the other movies that, like, we watched it way after it came out. So,
yeah,
like, that
it was on Netflix at that point.
So.
And we kind of watched it in the background.
Yeah.
I paid more attention to it than you.
I was pretty bored.
But you were bored.
Yeah, so I wasn't that invested in that one, but thankfully I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it.
No.
We got the point across, but Tony and Cap, like...
And Scott.
And whatever. It was so fun to go back to all of those moments, because they did a shit ton of, like, callback stuff, like Steve in the elevator.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, it's Winter Soldier, and then he leans over, and his way to, like, get them to listen to him is he says, it's okay, Hail Hydra. Yes! Which I saw, or I don't know if you showed it to me or if I saw it on Tumblr, but somebody's saying, like, when you play a level of a video game over and you already know how to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
so,
was so good. It was so good.
Yes, the team S.H.I.E.L.D. is collecting the Loki staff.
Right, and the
briefcase. Yes, but I'm trying to keep them separate just for a second.
Okay.
So the guys in the elevator, the exact same team that Cap beats up everyone that's in that elevator later on.
The two tensest elevator rides in the entire MCU, because you remember them viscerally. Like, oh god. Does anybody want to get off?
And so he gets the staff that way, and while that's going on, Tony and Ant-Man are with the other, like, the 2012 Avengers,
right?
With the Tesseract,
right?
And so, they've just captured Loki. They're all getting into the elevator, and then Hulk has to take the stairs because there's no room for him. And just before they go down the elevator, our Tony from Endgame flicks Scott Lang into...
right up Thanos' butthole. No, I'm kidding.
If only.
Major disappointment.
Into 2012's Tony, and... into
the arc reactor.
Yeah, he makes his way into the arc reactor, so that when they're on the base floor, and, like, Tony is about to hand the Tesseract over...
Because at that, like, in 2012, they did not know that they should not hand it to S.H.I.E.L.D., because nobody knew at that point that S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra.
Right, so they have to figure out a way to get that back, and Scott basically fucks with Tony's arc reactor, causing a heart attack to happen. Causing a huge fucking distraction so that our Tony can grab the briefcase and fuck off.
But...
however, so...
shit goes sideways, as it so frequently does.
When our Tony is walking away and we're like, mission accomplished, fucking Hulk busts out of the stairwell and it's like, fucking stairs, basically.
So mad about it.
And it knocks the briefcase out, and then Loki
grabs it.
Grabs the Tesseract, vanishes. And
so Loki's theoretically not dead.
Right.
Which raises a whole other set of questions, which...
this is what happens with time travel.
And I have such a hard time mentally grasping time travel because I'm a human being and I experience time in a linear fashion because that's how we've defined it, but we've had this conversation before.
So they lose the Tesseract.
Right.
And Cap is off bringing the staff back down, and who the fuck does he run into?
But himself.
From 2012.
And they start... Do you want to do it?
I'll just say 2012 thinks that it's Loki pretending to be him.
Because they know that Loki has run off with the Tesseract.
And can shapeshift.
Right, because they remind us of that.
Like, briefly before this happens.
Like, hey.
But I'll let you do it.
Because it's just one of my favorite moments. Steve starts fighting his 2012 self, and 2012 Cap is like, I could do this all day, like he does. And Steve goes, yeah, I know.
Which is just a wonderful little callback.
It's such a good moment.
Because we've heard him say it so many times, and it's just like,
and
yeah,
it's so often quoted. Like, that's what Cap says.
Yeah.
I could do this all day. Yeah, I know. And then... Yeah, and then he knocks himself out, and we didn't set that up at all.
No. So, just real quick, when Tony's like doing the recon on the original Avengers that are in New York, he's like, that suit's not working for you at all.
Not doing
Cap.
anything for your ass.
Yeah, and Scott Lang's, I think that ass looks great. That's America's ass.
So then, after this Steve on Steve fight, he knocks his 2012 self out and goes, "That is America's ass." Like, yeah, it is.
And like this version of Steve Rogers is just like zero fucks given. He's been like to hell and back, and he's just like, you know what? I'm tired of this.
He's been like a fucking war criminal.
Yeah.
He's and like, I am Captain fucking America.
Yeah.
I do not need this.
So everything, he's like way funnier and like less of the straight man and just like doing quips and stuff, which is so wonderful.
Good. I love it so much.
So and he even gets the other, like the 2012 Cap to like let up on the fight when he's like, Bucky is alive, and he gives a stop, and then he takes him out with the staff,
right?
Just so he can walk away with it. So,
which I wonder what that does.
Yeah, it raises some other questions.
Yeah.
But we've lost the Tesseract. Cap has the staff, which he then gives to Lang to go back to Avengers HQ.
Right.
And then Hulk tracks down the Time Stone, which is actually still in the Ancient One's possession.
Right. Doctor Strange isn't a player yet.
Yeah, because it's
2012.
Exactly. And he's going over like, I need that stone.
Right.
Because Thanos fucked everything up. And she's like, well, if you take the stones out of time,
then it fucks up our time.
It creates branch realities that go out, and I need to worry about my reality, not your jumped up reality. And he's like, well, what if we place them back where they were, like they never left, and then it creates that one linear reality.
Right.
And she's like, well, that works, but I'm not giving you this time stone. And he's like, then why did Doctor Strange do it?
And she's like, what?
She's like, what do you mean? He's like,
he just handed it to
him. And then she's like, well, there's like really only one reason he would have done that. Like, he would have had cause to do that.
Right, so he's supposed to be the best of us.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
She gives Hulk the stone.
Yeah.
Which, great. We have the time.
I'm very
now.
curious how they transport these stones, but like when they're loose like that.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to be able to hold them.
Right.
Because the thought of having somebody who can handle one stone is like unbelievable, let alone be able to
I mean, that
control
happened in Guardians. Like, when Peter grabs onto the stone, the only way he survives, because he's part
like half god.
Yeah, and the only reason he survives because he's half god.
Oh, it's because he's
the rest of the group hold hands.
Yeah. So how do they transport
I don't know.
it?
Maybe like at least the one that's in the staff is in the staff.
Yeah.
Whatever. So then Hulk fucks back off to HQ.
So what Tony and Cap are left with is that Loki took the Tesseract.
Mm-hmm.
So they failed to get one of the stones.
Right.
So they have to figure out where they can go because, the problem is that they have enough Pym particles for each of them to do one round trip. So if they go to another point in time, they will not be able to get back to the present.
Right.
So they have to figure out how to get the Tesseract and more Pym particles so they can go home. And they figure it out.
There is one moment in time where both exist, and that's at like
similar location.
The original S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters in like 1930, 40, 50.
It's got to be 40 something, right?
Yeah, the birthplace of Cap.
No, it's the 70s, 60s, because.
Oh.
Yeah.
I guess it is.
Yeah.
Because Cap's timeline was World War II.
Yeah. So that's, and we saw Stan Lee do his hippie cameo.
Yeah, so that was 60s, 70s.
Yeah, which underwhelming Stan Lee cameo.
For his last one, Yeah,
I would have had it be more like the Into the Spider-Verse one.
Right, because that one hit
It hit everything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So they go back to this military base.
The birthplace of Captain America.
Right.
Not literally.
No, just the idea of Captain America.
Right.
We
see S.H.I.E.L.D., which is run by Miss Peggy Carter.
Yeah.
My hero. I love her. I wish her show was better.
So Steve has some issues just like seeing her again and everything.
Right. Well, and then Tony runs into his father.
Yeah. Howard Stark.
Talk about some issues. Yeah.
After he collects the Tesseract, like literally just collects the Tesseract, he bumps into his father, which brings up a whole shit ton of things.
Right.
Both thematically and just,
Tony's got daddy issues.
Yeah.
He always has.
He's got stuff. So they have this whole conversation about, like, family, and because Howard Stark's wife is pregnant at this point.
With Tony.
And, always doing what's best in my own self-interest versus the greater good and things like that.
Yeah, okay, Grindelwald.
All right, that's a common phrase. He didn't coin the phrase. He's a fictional character.
Don't yell at me. I won't have
I'm not.
it.
I'm yelling at JK.
So it's a different podcast.
I know. So Tony has the Tesseract. Steve Rogers, like just before their cover is blown, like Steve finds the Pym particles,
grabs them
because Hank Pym is working on the base at the time.
Right.
And they did this really. They kept using that younger face technology to make everyone look like they're younger versions of themselves.
Which, whatever.
Which Marvel has been doing more and more recently, which is good. It's just like you notice it when it's happening. Like, oh, that's crazy. Like Michael Douglas is not that young anymore. Like that's his like very early like.
Yeah.
I can't remember the movie. It was like Money Talks or something. No.
All right.
Doesn't matter. But like a very young version of him. I think they did a little bit to Howard Stark only because. Like, when they recast that actor, that actor has, and I don't know his name, but that actor has more, like, of a Tony persona.
Tony Personi?
Yeah. He was on Mad Men and just has that personality. But he's, like, a bigger named actor and, like, whatnot. So they get the Pym particles, they get the Tesseract, and then they fuck back off to HQ.
So that was the best leg of time travel. Then we go to Space Team?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is Nebula and Rhodey, and then Black Widow and Clint.
Yeah.
Are the two forks of the Space Team.
Exactly.
It's good that we saw this movie twice.
I know.
Because there's a lot going on. Like, if you start fucking with time travel, like, all bets are off.
I know it might sound complicated, but when you're watching it, it doesn't feel that complicated.
Like,
and you don't think about all the effects of the time travel until after.
Right. Also, your mind is not wandering. So
no, not at all.
You don't lose the thread of the thing because you are enraptured.
Which is crazy because of how much they do introduce.
And it's so long, and it never
felt boring. It never dragged on in that sense. Like, you always understood what was happening.
Yeah, I looked over at your watch at one point because I wanted to know, like, roughly where we were, and I was, like, so terrified that there were going to be, like, 30 minutes left, but it was, like, halfway through.
Yeah.
Like, thank God, because we have a lot of ground to cover.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Space Team...
Yeah.
I mean, okay, there are two important Space
They're,
Team
like,
things.
very small, important things that happen for each group.
The Nebula thing.
Yes.
So, the Nebula... Endgame Nebula goes into space in 2014.
Yeah.
And her brain frequency, like her technology.
Google Glass.
Right. So there's Endgame Nebula in space, and there's also 2014 Nebula in space.
Yeah.
And 2014 Nebula is still very loyal to Thanos.
Right.
So the technology that built Nebula, like her network...
Her
Wi-Fi, sure. They can link to each other, which nobody thought about, I guess. And it's super unfortunate because 2014 Nebula starts, like, glitching and shows what's happening to Endgame Nebula, which gives Thanos some very unfortunate insight into what's happening.
So, like, he gathers that they're going after the stones. While he is currently going after the stones, he has the stones in another reality, and it worked.
Right.
And it ultimately ends with him dying. But he now knows that they're trying to stop his plan.
Which means that his plan worked.
Yeah. So now Thanos from 2014 is off to fuck that up again.
Because that's what he fucking does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how to explain that.
So good Nebula accidentally shows bad Nebula's, or like through bad Nebula's eyes, what is happening. And bad Nebula also shows good Nebula that Thanos now knows.
Right.
Because
Rhodey gets the stone and goes back to the present.
And there's a cute little moment where we just see Star-Lord doing the opening scene from Guardians where he's listening to Come and Get Your Love on his headphones, and he's singing, and like we're having a great time because we're the audience and we're listening to the music, but then it cuts to
out.
where it's just in his headphones and we just hear him singing,
and he's
so
like
he's
singing
dancing,
and that was really fun. Yeah, like the stuff that called back was so fun. And if they had built little moments like that up to, hey, look at the Battle of New York, that would have been really cool.
Right.
Much more of a payoff than de-escalating like that.
But I guess they had introduced like the time stone part of it beforehand.
That's true.
But anyway.
So whatever.
So now basically everyone knows that everyone knows.
They don't know that we know that they know we know.
Exactly.
How many Friends references am I going to make?
Just those two.
Oh boy. So bad Nebula swaps with good Nebula.
Because they capture good Nebula.
Right, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But Gamora is still alive because it's the past. So we have to fucking deal with that family again. I'm like... This
is the only problem I had with the movie.
I don't care. There's so many cool things happening.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about their fucked up family dynamics.
I know.
So that's that important thing. And then the other important thing is the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Which Clint and Nat go after. And the thing with the Soul Stone, which we learned in Infinity War, is that you have to sacrifice what you love to get it. And Clint and Nat are both there. So we're like, who's it going to be? And I was definitely rooting for Nat to be the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Partially because I just, like, Scarlett Johansson is, like, she's done. She can't do anything else for the Marvel franchise.
I do think that it's a bit late for a solo Black Widow movie.
Which
and
is
that
weird
we
because
stop.
It's apparently happening.
I know. But
she has to stop playing Asian characters, and then I'll care about what she's doing with her life.
So it was my point as well. Like, I was cool if Nat was the one to be sacrificed.
Because Clint had a family.
Clint had a family.
Yeah.
However, Clint lost his family and then went on this dark path of, like, murder.
Right.
So
Which you do,
he was like, it should be me. I have nothing left. Let me do this for you. Because anything that has been, sustained throughout all these movies... What, did I spit on you?
Yeah, you did. It's okay, though.
That's fine. That's
You're
a little spit
on it. You're not doing it right.
Is that their friendship, regardless of where they are on whose side, is strong.
Yeah.
And that is really cool.
And it was really beautifully done in Endgame because, like, they held hands, like, once or twice.
Yeah.
And it never felt like anything other than a very deep friendship.
Yeah. So they're like, it has to be one of us. And they're like...
And in typical superhero style, like...
I think we're talking about different people.
Yeah.
And so they do this whole, like, little fight
scene
while they're trying to run off the cliff.
Yeah.
Up until the point where Clint, like, blows one of his arrows that explodes Nat off to one side.
And then
he's just
jumps.
Slow-mo running, dives, and then Nat dives after him, shoots up one of... I think it's another arrow or something, like a grappling hook.
Yeah.
Attaches it to his waist. And they're holding, like, cliffhanger style, hand in hand. And she's like,
on the bottom.
Just let me go.
Record.
Just let me go. And he's like, I can't do that. And then...
What would have been really cool is one of the famous Nat lines is, I've got red in my ledger. Like, would have been cool to just bring that back.
That would have been cool.
Might have been over the top. But I don't think it would have.
Well, they had already gone over the top. They were falling.
I'm done with you.
Yeah, well, we were done with her.
Yeah, so spoiler alert, Black Widow is dead.
Yeah, and then it flashes
and it's okay.
So that Clint wakes up in that lake with the Soul Stone in his hand, and he's just sad.
As you do.
Yeah.
Right, so then he fucks off back to the present. Third prong, Asgard.
Asgard, yes.
With
Thor and Rocket.
Which is the best team.
It really is. They are very cool together.
Thor is so great.
Yeah.
Like, post-Ragnarok Thor, I love him.
Like, yeah, I agree. That version of Thor made me love Thor even more.
Yeah, it really just invigorated the character.
I enjoyed Thor's moments in all the other movies.
Yeah.
But we actually start seeing Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, because Taika Waititi was like, can he just be himself?
Right. Which was very cool.
He's great.
Yeah. As we mentioned, Thor is dealing with depression over not being able to kill Thanos, stop him from using the stones, and then, losing Asgard and all that stuff is just
losing Loki.
Losing Loki, his mom, all that stuff.
There's
his
just
father.
a lot happening
for Thor.
I'm so sad for him. Because, it's such a real journey.
Yeah.
So they get to Asgard somewhere in the second 2/3 of Thor 2.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see, but apparently Jane, Natalie Portman, is on Asgard.
Mm-hmm. She has the ether inside her that has the stone.
See, I didn't know what any of that meant.
Yeah.
I mean, I got it enough to grasp what was going on because, it wasn't that fucking complicated, but, I didn't have any background for that.
No, yeah, it's okay. It's not super,
Yeah, it was one of the movies that I think I watched part of it and then my Wi-Fi cut out and I was
That's fair.
Yeah, so Thor, freaks out and has, a panic attack, which is so sad.
Yeah.
And Rocket runs off to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. And Thor runs into his mother, and it's, the day of her death.
Yeah.
And they have, a really sweet heart-to-heart. And she tells him, be who you are, not who you think you should be.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, which is, so wonderful.
Yeah.
And so he's all ready to go back, and he's like, wait.
It's I want to try something.
Because in this timeline, Mjolnir hasn't, or in this time, not this timeline, in this moment in time, Mjolnir still exists.
Mm-hmm.
So he holds out his arm, and Rocket's like, what's happening? And she's like, Mom is like, sometimes it takes a second. Then he gets his hammer. Like, yeah.
And as cool as that moment is, it's also Thor, it's confirmed that Thor, he's still worthy of the hammer. Which is big for him.
Because he doesn't think he is.
Because he's lost so many things in his life, and he's failed in so many places that he feels, and that's why he's depressed and everything, but he's still worthy of the hammer, which is amazing.
So nice.
So Rocket gets, it pulls the stone out of Jane, and then they fuck off back to Avengers HQ.
Right, so everybody, except Nat, is back in present day. They have all the stones.
Mm-hmm.
And Iron Man makes the gauntlet.
Yeah, he makes using the nanoparticles that we've seen in his newer suits.
Right.
They create a gauntlet, an iron gauntlet, that can hold all these stones.
Right, because of all of the immense power that would prevent one person from holding it, even though I guess that's how they got them all back. Whatever. So this is where shit starts happening.
Yeah, so then they are like, well, we never thought about who would do it.
And they're all like, I'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, and then Hulk is like, this is all gamma radiation, and
I can do that.
I was made for this.
Yeah. Which, do we want to talk about the Hulk issues now, or do we want to wait until we're done?
We can talk about it now.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's not a whole lot left
really
for his character.
He does, which is such a bummer. So, one of the only problems that I was cognizant of by the end of the movie, because by the end of the movie I was just a wreck, was that I thought Hulk was super, super underutilized. And I've been thinking about, because we had a conversation, because you said that Hulk has always sort of been a side character.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I didn't feel like he was, because even in Avengers, I felt like he was one of the, the main ones. I didn't think he was on the level with, Black Widow and Hawkeye. And I finally figured out why, because they made a big deal out of collecting each of the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't collect Black Widow and Hawkeye. They were already there.
Yeah.
But they collected Bruce Banner, and that was a huge, big, introduction, convincing him to join.
Nat and Clint in solo movies.
Oh.
Nat shows up in Iron Man 2, I think.
Right, but I'm talking about in Avengers, getting this team together for the first time. Nat and Clint were already there.
Mm-hmm.
And they they made
this
as
is the
big
first time we...
Yeah, they made as big a deal of collecting Banner as they did with the other ones.
I see what you're saying.
So that's why I never really thought of him as a secondary character. I thought that he was part of the core group, which made Endgame kind of a bummer because, yeah, they did this cool, Professor Hulk thing, but then, I mean, we can get into this more when we get to the end of the movie, but, each of the main characters got a resolution except Hulk.
Right.
They didn't close off Hulk's character at all. The last big thing we got from him was that he has to be the one to wear the gauntlet, which, yeah, I mean, that's a big fucking thing, but everybody else got a resolution.
Yeah.
And he didn't get one.
Well, I think that is the problem, is that, yes, they did make a big deal about collecting Bruce Banner, like you said. I didn't think about it like that before.
I didn't either until, a couple of days ago.
Yeah. But then, after Avengers, he's very much a side character.
Yeah, because everybody else gets, second and third solo movies.
And Hulk didn't even get one,
yeah,
really.
Ruffalo didn't even get his own movie, which, what are they going to do with Hulk? There's his one thing.
Yeah, he gets the gamma radiation, becomes the Hulk, and then has to deal with being both.
Yeah, and I mean, if the argument is that the Professor Hulk thing is his resolution...
It is, it's just not as strong.
It's not handled as intentionally as the endings that the others get.
Right, because when we see Professor Hulk, he's just there.
Right, it's not like,
oh my god.
Yeah, it's not something that we got to see him accomplish.
Yeah, and I do think it is his resolution, because from Infinity War... Yeah, and even Ragnarok, where
heightening that conflict.
He was always the Hulk and not Bruce Banner. He had to get out of that. And then when he was Bruce Banner, he couldn't become the Hulk because he got bitch slapped by Thanos.
Right.
And he was scared. And then we get Professor Hulk, which is this culmination of both.
It would have been really cool to see that happen.
Yeah, we get Bruce Banner, maybe just they track Bruce Banner down, and Bruce Banner's similar to how we meet him in Avengers. He's off on his own, not secluded, but just living his life, being a scientist. And he's I still can't be the Hulk. And then in one of, maybe he goes to the Battle of New York and becomes the Hulk there after not being able to for so long. Yeah. But then when he's screaming and he's the Hulk, then he's talking as Bruce Banner, and we see that, holy shit, now he's both in the Battle of New York, because then you could even do some time travel-y coolness where a scene where it's just the Hulk where he's smashing that car over and over again. Smash. Yeah, it could have been our version of the Hulk that we saw do that scene that we saw in 2012 as that version of the Hulk. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
I know it's very, with time travel, it's just hard to explain it.
Yeah, so it could have, his whole storyline could have been accomplished as a secondary character, but there wasn't any intentionality. Right. They didn't, I feel like nobody knew what they were going to do with Hulk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They should have made it more... Yeah,
more of a defined...
More of hey...
Development.
After 10 years that we got the Hulk right, here is the end of his,
Yeah, of his story, of his struggle. Yeah, and
because they made a huge deal out of him not being able to be the Hulk in the last movie, and vice versa in Thor Ragnarok. Right. That this was just oh, he's there, and he's both. That's cool. And then he's dabbed, and it's funny, and but he's a smart dude. He's the science boy.
Yeah, Hulk deserves more.
Yeah.
So, but Hulk is the one that's going to put on the gauntlet because he can take it. Which ends up being sort of true. He does it.
No, it does what it did to Thanos when he destroyed the stones. It he puts on the gauntlet, all the power rushes through his veins, he's taking it, and then he manages to snap his fingers. And Tony's just all right, everything exactly the way it was, just 5 years later. Yeah. To try not to fuck up scared. His wife. And then we see... Scott Lang, the whole group dissipates. They're did it work? Did it work? And then Scott Lang is looking out the window and there were birds again. Yeah. And it's guys, I think it worked. And then
BAM!
Boom!
Because what we didn't discuss was that when they all got back to the right time, Bad Nebula plugs in her USB fingers to some of Tony's technology, letting Thanos know the appropriate time and place.
Yeah, so
to come fuck him up.
like comes through the quantum tunnel, destroying the machine with his giant ass spaceship, and is now over Avengers HQ.
Such a dick.
And then he just like mows down Avengers HQ with all the firepower he has.
And this is it.
Now we're in the end
10
game.
years now. This is what we have been waiting for. This is the final battle to end all final battles.
And I know you hate summaries, but we can't skimp on this.
I know, we have to go through every... we've been summarizing the whole fucking movie.
I know, and that's important.
I know. Because what we're doing is,
like,
we're not just saying what happened. We're saying what happened and how we felt about it.
Exactly. Okay. So, shit goes wrong.
Because it has to.
Yeah.
Because it's a Marvel movie.
It's the last act of the movie.
And we think we're ready.
Yeah,
we think we're ready. We are not. 100%, we are not.
Yeah.
Our emotions are in shambles. I'm still in shambles.
I agree.
Can't handle it. So, boom. We think that everything is fixed, but then Thanos arrives. Blows up Avengers HQ. Everyone is like under rubble and all this shit. Scattered.
Yeah.
Hulk is like holding up the building or something. Yeah.
And Rocket and Rhodey are down there going to get crushed.
Yeah. And everybody has their earpieces on and they're all on the same frequency.
Yeah.
Miraculously.
I mean, it's fine that they are.
Right, but then we start bringing in the rest of the ensemble.
The people that aren't originally
there. They're not even on Earth.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So the building is
collapsing.
Hulk is holding shit up with his crew. They're not really doing anything, but they're with him.
Clint finds the gauntlet.
Right.
And is like in the basement of HQ, like the sewers or whatever. And then, so Thanos has arrived. He comes back down to the planet. Mm-hmm. And is like fucking shit up and releases like some minions to go off and do some shit.
And then he just sits down and takes his helmet off.
And he's like
I'll wait.
Yeah, Bad Nebula is like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, I'll wait. Like, go get me the gauntlet.
Like a dick.
So she goes, and nobody knows that they've swapped at any point.
Right.
So Clint is doing his Clint thing, like fucking up the bad guys.
One arrow at a time.
And then just trying to save the gauntlet,
trying to live
from the bad guys.
Goddamn life.
And then he's like, hey, I know you. And he gives her the gauntlet. And then Gamora shows up. Because Good Nebula
convinced Gamora, because she knew, like, future Gamora ends up being on the good guy team.
Yeah.
The other thing that we didn't mention was after the snap, before the explosion, Clint's phone started ringing. And
we get that moment, where it's like, he actually answers it, and they have this little, just hello before shit
and then
goes
everything
wrong.
goes up.
Yeah, so Good Nebula and Gamora are there with Bad Nebula, and there's like this whole confrontation, and then Good Nebula shoots Bad Nebula, and they have the gauntlet.
Right. Okay.
And we'll place that over here. Then we go to, like...
There's so much that happens.
I know.
And I'm trying to remember the order of it.
I'm not even doing that. I'm doing order of awesome. So...
Are you escalating?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
because you
obviously.
Started shitting.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So then Rhodey and Rocket are trapped.
Right, and
Hulk
is
trying to get them up.
Somehow water is coming in and they're going to drown.
Shit is going wrong.
Right,
Ant-Man pops through trying to save them.
That's why I brought up the frequencies, because they were like, can anybody hear we're drowning?
And he's like, I'm almost there, and he's running, doing his little tiny Ant-Man thing, which the logistics of, is he moving faster when he's tiny? I know it's easier to get through cracks and things.
Right, but I feel like he would be covering
longer,
less distance because he's so small. Yeah. Whatever.
Right, anyway.
Not important.
Does he become Giant Man?
Not
get
yet.
Everything off of him? No? I think I just made that up in my head.
I think he did too.
Because that would have been...
I don't remember him becoming Giant Man.
He does, briefly.
Right.
Later.
Yeah, because he can't. Because he'll, like, pass out and we won't have Ant-Man
I think
for a
he
week.
got over that in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But, anyways.
Didn't he? Ended up in the bottom of the San Francisco Bay.
Yeah, he was super tall. I think, like, he was building up a tolerance for it.
Taller?
Yeah.
Anyway, not important.
So they
Sorry,
get
but
out
Ant-Man
of that
is the
jam.
least interesting part.
And then Thor is just standing on the hillside, like, watching Thanos.
Right. And then Cap and Tony join him.
And he's like, what's he doing? And he's like, nothing.
You know it's a trap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I do. I'm just glad we're all on the same page.
We're all in this together, except Hulk, who's apparently not one of the original Avengers.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
My bitterness about Hulk got more pronounced towards the conclusion of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Hulk should have been part of that lineup.
I agree.
Okay. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you what I think.
I do think he should have been, but there's something about 3 that's nice. And those 3 are the 3.
Yeah.
So, basically, they're just, strolling in.
Right.
All 3 in their group together. Thor, Cap, and Iron Man.
Right.
Approaching Thanos. And they're just getting ready. And then Thanos is doing his monologue bullshit.
I hate him so much. I don't know if that's something I've made clear.
Dickhole.
Yeah, and it's not even an interesting point.
No, it's not.
I hate him so much.
I know.
Okay, I'm glad we spent almost no time with him in Endgame.
Yes.
Except murdering him.
Right.
Twice.
So, spoilers. I know we're spoiling everything, but Jesus Christ.
No, he doesn't show up. That's going to be where they go next. We'll get to that.
So, Thanos is talking. I can't really remember everything he's saying.
Blah, blah, blah. I'm annoying.
But
I'm inevitable.
Yes, he's talking about, before I was just, I wanted to wipe out half of the population so that the other half that survives know,
right.
the goodness that brings or whatever. I can't. It's
whatever.
Really wordy.
And
then he's like, next time
I'm gonna wipe out everyone.
He's gonna bring shit, bring things alive and back and everything, to make them.
No, but first he was gonna wipe out.
He was gonna wipe out everyone,
and then he was gonna create a new race of people that didn't know that they had been.
Yes, to be grateful for the life that they've been given or something like that.
Right. Yeah, because his error was in leaving the survivors, because they were always going to be butthurt about losing their loved ones.
Exactly.
How dare they?
Mourning over the loss of that versus being grateful for what they have.
Right.
So he's like, yeah, and you guys won't be around to do it. I'm like, I am inevitable and all that
great,
shit.
Awesome.
And so they just
we're going to kill you.
Guns out,
ape shit.
And just start beating the shit out of them.
And it's cool, but it's ineffective because he's Thanos.
Yeah, so you get some cool things. So Thor has Stormbreaker and Mjolnir.
Mjolnir.
Meow.
Yeah.
So how do you pronounce it?
Mjolnir. Yeah.
Okay. Nikolaj. I feel like I'm saying it.
You're not even close.
Anyway. So he has both of those weapons. Iron Man has his nano suit that's badass. And Cap is just Cap.
Shield.
He's fucking cool as hell.
And America's ass.
Yes.
He can do this all day.
Yeah. So they start beating the shit out of him, and Thanos is doing some cool, or not Thanos, Thor is doing some, their names are too close. Thor is doing some cool shit where he's bringing lightning down and throwing it through
Iron Man, because we learned in Avengers that just supercharges him.
And so he's using all of his pulsar blast, full maximum capacity. And they're just doing some shit, and Cap is throwing his shield, all kinds of cool shit.
Everything you want.
And then
I don't remember. Somehow it's just Cap fighting Thanos.
So I don't know where Iron Man goes at this point, but Thanos knocks Iron Man way out of the way.
Right.
Thor is up on him, with Meow and
Meow
Stormbreaker. Yeah.
Stormbreaker's the big fucking axe he got in Infinity War. Okay.
Yeah, that was a huge
whatever
thing. Anyway.
Right, because Tyrion Lannister was there.
As a giant.
A giant dwarf.
Yeah. So Thor is using both weapons against them.
Right.
And then Thanos knocks Mjolnir away from him.
Which is important.
And Thor still has Stormbreaker.
Right.
But Thanos somehow turns Stormbreaker against him and is about to go into Thor's chest.
Yes.
Like it was in Infinity War when Thor was putting Stormbreaker through Thanos' chest.
I don't remember that at all, but I trust you.
It was like he should have gone for the head. Like, he went for the chest.
Oh, that's right.
He didn't even cut off his arm or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so Thor is pinned up against this rock. Stormbreaker's like going into his chest. And then we see a shot
of Mjolnir like wobbling, and we're like, yeah, he's gonna call his hammer, and it's gonna be super cool.
And then we see Thor struggling, and then Mjolnir shoots into Thanos, hits him like right in the head. Mjolnir goes out, and then comes back, hits him again, and it just fucking goes right into Cap's hand, and Cap like has the shield, and he looks at the camera, and he's fucking...
And I'm sitting next to Matt in the theater, and like I've gasped, like there's no air left in the room, and Matt just yells, "Oh shit!"
It's like Cap has Mjolnir. He's holding it. He summoned it and used it, and then Thor is like, I knew it.
I knew it. We all knew it.
And so there's this, like, not a montage, but it's like this epic, like, 30 seconds of just Cap
just
using...
like with his shield and
like
Thor's hammer. And like,
throwing the shield and then throwing Mjolnir. They're hitting off of each other,
he's
coming
gonna do
back.
It. He's gonna fucking do it. He's gonna do it. There's like 40 minutes left of this movie.
Know.
He's not gonna do it, but he's gonna
do it. It's like Cap is just gonna take Thanos down. Like, fuck Captain Marvel. Like, she doesn't even belong here. And then Cap does this thing where he summons down the lightning and summons it onto Thanos.
Oh my god, it's
and it's
everything.
Just like he's using everything right now.
And I was so nervous because at this point, the first watching, we know somebody's gonna die. We were so sure it was Steve.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh my god, he's gonna die. They're gonna kill him right after this, because when would it be more dramatic than when we are so awash with our love for Captain America that he would just get his skull bashed in or something.
And so
nervous.
Iron Man, Thor, and Cap, who's now wielding Mjolnir, are fighting Thanos. But then Thanos again gets the upper hand somehow and knocks Iron Man and Thor out of the way, and he's beating Cap's shield.
The shit out of Cap, and he's like breaking the
shield.
Vibranium. Like, oh my god, he's gonna die.
And there's like a huge chunk missing out of the shield, and Cap is like laying on the ground.
The shield is like just a chunk.
And it's literally, Cap is gonna eat it. This is
it.
And then Cap stands up.
Because he could do this all day.
And he just tightens the shield more on his wrist, which is like nothing. It's not going to do anything.
It's like the size of a frisbee.
And he's just standing there like, he says it with his eyes, like, I can do this all day.
And then, I think that's the moment where we hear...
Well, there's Thanos' army is building up.
Right.
So, like, literally, it's just Cap and 1,000 bad guys.
Yeah, so it's Cap against the universe.
Yeah, exactly, which...
He'd be fine.
Yeah.
So then we hear, on the miraculously same frequency, Sam saying... What does he say?
So he's cutting in and out. He's like, Cap, this is Sam. It's like, on your left. And then Cap, like, looks, and this portal... Doctor Strange style portal opens up, and
out comes walking T'Challa, Shuri, and Okoye.
Yeah.
And then all of the portals start opening.
And then Sam shoots through that portal because they were on Wakanda when Infinity War ended.
Right.
And then all these portals start opening up. So we see. I don't even fucking know. Like, that moment was enough for me.
Like, we are just openly
everyone.
weeping.
We see everyone that was in space.
Yeah,
and then
Spider-Man swings through.
Like, in the background we see Star-Lord, everyone. And literally everyone. So, like, M'Baku and his army come through, and, like, all of the, I can't remember what they're called.
Doctor Strange's people. I don't know what they're called either.
I'm glad you knew. And then, like, all of the Valkyrie soldiers.
The Valkyrie people.
Yeah.
But despite not knowing who these people are and what they do, like, I was crying so hard.
I know. And I mean, I can't do it justice because you have to just watch it.
You have to experience it.
Having the Avengers theme song play underneath all of these moments.
They way overused the Avengers theme, but I did not know.
I was there for it. Yeah.
Every single time.
So all these portals are up, and we get this shot of, like, everyone.
The money shot. The shot we've been waiting for.
Just standing right behind Cap and Thor and Iron Man. And it's just like, this is what we've been waiting for.
This is it.
And so Thanos is, like, calling his army to go out.
Yeah.
And then Cap is just like, Avengers, assemble!
Ugh.
And then they just start rushing the battlefield, and it's just a massive
everything.
fucking showdown.
Just everything. Yeah, and then, like, so even with all of that, the battle, I know, I'm exhausted too. The battle starts going poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And, because Wanda can, like, fucking,
she's
fuck
back.
up Thanos.
And she's like, you took everything from me. She's pissed off because of Vision, which I get.
Right.
And Thanos is like, I don't even know who you are. Because it's literally a different Thanos.
You're about to.
You're going to.
Whatever.
And she has got her red eyes and starts fucking things up, and then you have Thanos' Black Order, which is all of his, like, children that are beating shit up on the battlefield as well.
Yeah, so then Wanda starts, like, fucking him up real bad,
Mm-hmm.
and so Thanos orders rain fire.
Yeah.
So his ship is, like, literally raining fire down on the battlefield, and we're like, this is not great.
Yeah, like, how?
Right. And then in swoops...
Yeah, the ship starts shooting off into the distance, and they're like, what are they firing?
Yeah.
And then we just see this glowing ball of fire just come through and fucking take the ship out.
In swoops her lesbian majesty.
Yeah, and while this is going on, they're trying to get the gauntlet to the... So they've snapped everyone back. The plan is to get the power, all the stones back to where they need to go. The quantum tunnel is destroyed because Thanos came through it.
Right.
And the only quantum tunnel left is in Scott Lang's rickety-ass van that's in the middle of the battlefield somehow untouched.
Yeah, not gonna like where it's parked.
Yeah, so they have to get the gauntlet through the quantum tunnel.
Right.
To restore everything. And
so somehow it ends up in...
T'Challa passes, or gets it from, like, Clint or something, and he's running, and then Spidey has it,
swoops in, activates instant kill, which
to get people off of him.
Cute.
Even Gwyneth Paltrow shows up in her Iron Man suit.
Yeah, which
has been hinted a lot.
Never, because I didn't watch Iron Man 3, so I didn't even know who she was until, like, way late. So Peter Parker has it, and he's, like, hunkered down, scared.
Like, beaten to shit, and he's just like, oh my God.
He's a baby.
And then Carol Danvers comes through.
Swooping in, and he's like, hey, I'm Peter Parker.
He's like,
hey, Peter Parker. You got something for me?
Oh! It's such a good moment.
And then I think it's that he's like, are you gonna...
How are you gonna get through all those people?
And I think Okoye says she'll have help.
Yeah.
And we see the array of all 8 Marvel women.
I know,
It felt so incredible the first time I saw it. Like, I was crying already, but I was, like, sobbing because I've talked a lot about representation, but I've never, like, viscerally in my soul felt how important it is to be seen by your favorite media.
Yeah.
And, like, this is a dude movie. Like, no matter how many cool women show up periodically, the dudes are the heroes, and they're always the ones saving the day.
Mm-hmm.
But we have Carol Danvers, and every woman from this franchise is behind her, and there are no men in the shot, and these are the women that are going to take the gauntlet where it needs to go. And just
it is a super cool moment.
Overwhelmed by how that felt. Like, yeah, I could probably still cry just thinking about it. And
it's a powerful moment, and it's just like you said, it's a small part, but it's so important to have it there.
Yeah.
And, like, not just all women, but all, like, multicultural women, because it's from all across the Marvel universe that we have. And they're there to help, like, the most powerful being, who's also female, take the gauntlet where it needs to be, and it was awesome.
It was very, very cool. Does not go great, but...
they get super close, but then... can't exactly remember how it happened.
Thanos gets one of the stones.
He gets the gauntlet.
So Carol has the gauntlet, and he's fighting her, and and she's kicking his ass, and he gets one of the stones, and that's how he punches her away.
Well,
but then he
has the gauntlet on, and he takes off one of the stones because she's stopping him from closing his fist and snapping.
That's right. Oh, and then he uses his other hand and takes the stone. Punches
her with that, and then pops it back in.
Oh my God, we're really
there.
getting...
I know.
We're almost there.
So There is a really cool moment, though, when Carol Danvers is fighting Thanos, and she's, like, holding the gauntlet, and he goes to headbutt her, and she doesn't, like, move at all.
Flinch.
Which is dope.
Fuck you, asshole.
But then, he takes the stone out, punches her with that fist, pops it back onto his gauntlet. It does that surge thing.
Right.
Again, where he's taking all the power. And then, I think at that moment...
we see Tony with Doctor Strange.
Yeah, they're doing this, like...
that might have happened earlier.
But
we
only
had a moment earlier, and then there was a different moment that you're thinking of. So the moment earlier, when Strange comes back, because he was one of the people that got dusted, and Tony says, of the, 14 million, was this the one? And he's like, I can't. If I tell you, it won't happen. So then this moment, Strange and Tony make eye contact, and Strange just holds up one finger.
Yeah.
We're like, oh no!
And so Tony is fighting Thanos.
Are you gonna cry?
I might.
Okay.
Tony is fighting Thanos, and it looks like, Thanos is still one-upping him, and he throws Tony off of him and goes to snap the gauntlet, and nothing happens.
He says, I am inevitable, and then he snaps,
and
nothing happens.
Nothing.
And then he turns over the gauntlet, and there are no stones. Are gone. We're just both going to do this.
I know. And then Tony
and I knew what he was going to say.
And all the stones are going into his gauntlet. And he's like, I am
Iron Man.
And then he snaps his fingers. And oh my god. So then
still not okay.
Everyone stops what they're doing.
Because
and then Thanos' entire army starts
disappearing,
fading away, dusting.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, what is this gonna do to Tony? What is this gonna do? What is this gonna do? He's gonna die.
And Thanos is like, I've lost. You could see it on his face.
Yeah,
it's just
good.
Everything that I was trying to work for has just been taken away. And so he goes back and sits down, just like he did at the end of Infinity War, where he had succeeded. Sits down, and then he starts fading away.
Dusting. Not cinematically fading away.
Yeah. And then...
and we're done with him.
Yeah.
And everything's over.
Tony is there, just on the ground.
And he's weak.
Propped up against
he's not dead yet, but he's weak.
He's weak. And Peter Parker is crying, and he's like, Mr. Stark, it's going to be okay. We won.
It's going to be okay.
We won, Mr. Stark.
Mr. Stark. Oh, it's so rough.
Yeah.
The baby's upset.
Yeah.
Peter Parker, not... we'll get to his actual child.
And then Gwyneth Paltrow, Pepper is near him, kisses him on the cheek, and
rest
she's
now or something.
You can rest now. We're gonna be okay.
You're crying.
It's an emotional moment.
And then
his light shuts off.
Kicks it.
Wow. Just kicks it. Just kicks the bucket.
The bucket.
You heartless bastard. The man who not created, but launched the entire MCU.
I'm sad.
I know, but you're not properly. You should
because I'm not weeping on our podcast.
This is the first time I've weeped on this podcast.
Wept.
Weeped.
Is it more emotional when you say weeped?
Weeped.
So then anyway, Tony's dead. Really.
Yes.
Probably.
Everyone is standing there watching him, his
be
body.
Dead.
Just there, and they're all we won, but
God, at what cost?
Yeah. So then it cuts to Tony's funeral.
Oh, right. It cuts.
Yeah.
No, it cuts to the rest of the world first, and then we hear the Tony voiceover.
Yeah.
Talking about
showing that the world is back to normal, and it's Tony's voice being we all want a happy ending, and basically I hope it plays out that way, but just in case, it's emotional.
You're so cute.
So then it cuts to inside Tony's house, and it's a hologram that's being projected out of an Iron Man helmet.
Right.
And it's Pepper, Happy, and Morgan, his daughter, listening to this message, and he's and we're gonna do this time travel thing tomorrow, and I just hope it works out
Like, who am I kidding? It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine.
And then he says, "Love you 3,000."
Yeah. And it cuts out. So yeah, that's just like, we have a proper funeral for Tony.
And at the funeral, we get another shot of just the entire cast.
Pepper and Cap and his daughter are on the dock, and we have his little arc reactor that says proof that Tony Stark has a heart.
Oh my God, you're a mess.
And it's floating
Get a
off.
handle on yourself.
No. It's very rare that a movie
me.
of this magnitude, like,
is good.
Is good, yes, exactly. It had so much build-up, not just leading up to Endgame, but obviously over the last 10 years.
Right.
And it could have very easily just been mediocre.
Okay, don't yell at me.
I'm not.
You're lashing out.
I'm very emotional right now, and it's just rude that you're taking shots at me. So, yes, his arc reactor floats on the lake, and man, the camera pans through each of the little groups that exist, of like all the different Marvel teams that have happened over the 10 years.
It's just another, like, look at what the fuck we just did,
I mean,
which
including
is super cool.
The kid from Iron Man 3, I think. There's like a kid that looks like Peter Parker, but just standing by himself behind somebody before it goes into like S.H.I.E.L.D.
Is it behind Wanda?
I think so.
See, I thought that was her brother.
No.
But then I was like, didn't he die?
He
like,
did.
really
That would have
dramatically?
been interesting if they brought him back just because.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that,
like
but I forgot.
But no, that's another kid that Iron Man, Tony, mentored. And
okay.
Whatnot.
Yeah, and then we see Carol Danvers in her butch-ass pantsuit, which...
Just standing there, powerful.
In her power stance.
Yeah.
Like, God, I love her. Like, her movie was so lame, but... And she did not get nearly enough airtime in Endgame.
Right.
Especially for all the build-up that she's the secret weapon. Like, she's the one that's going to come in and do this. And, like, narratively, I understand why it had to be, like, Cap and Iron Man and Thor that took care of it.
Yeah.
Because, that's the story that they were telling. But then, we've talked about this. Like, introduce Carol Danvers afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, let her be the start of your new story. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I love her, and I love the little bit of utilizing her that they did. It was all done very well, but like, it just felt like that kind of felt shoehorned in, where nothing else really
Now that
did.
you mention it, it might have been interesting to just not even do a Captain Marvel movie. In one of the other ones, we said maybe doing it earlier on and then having it waiting in the wings, but she shows up in Infinity War's end credit scene. There's the end credit scene. No, the end credit scene in that is the symbol. Was it? It must have been Ant-Man and the Wasp. No.
Yes.
Where everyone is around the table.
Yeah, and she comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think. It would have to be. It wasn't her own movie. And those
I think it was her own movie. I think everyone's standing around the pager and they're like, this thing is going off.
Oh, yeah.
So, that scene should have been at the end of Infinity War. No, sorry, Ant-Man and the Wasp. At the end of Infinity War, it has Fury
with
pager. Okay. Ant-Man and the Wasp should have ended with
revealing her.
So with the mid-credit scene being Ant-Man being trapped in the quantum tunnel.
Okay.
That should have been the mid-credit scene, so at least it sets that up.
So the end credit was finally showing who Fury was paging.
Yeah. And then
when
this
she
is
comes
when you
in
bring
in
her
Endgame,
in.
So then her solo movie is the next wave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you could have her bust through that ship and come down. Like,
yeah,
not even
and have that be
introduce
like the first time we see her.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, I'm Peter Parker. She could have introduced herself then. Yeah, that would have been good. Why don't they consult us?
I don't know.
So the funeral, the just, dramatic
all the way
shot
to Nick
of
Fury.
Yeah.
Which is nice, because I know he's in Far From Home, but it's nice that he's back.
Yeah, I mean, and S.H.I.E.L.D., we've talked about this amongst ourselves. I don't think we did it on podcast. S.H.I.E.L.D. has sort of been decreasing in significance in like the later movies. Like S.H.I.E.L.D. was what brought the universe together, but then once it became Hydra, we sort of just stopped talking about S.H.I.E.L.D.
and
because
like
it became irrelevant.
Fury and Maria
Hill.
Yeah,
they
were
off.
working on their own stuff separately.
Right.
So yeah, having it end with him was nice.
Yeah.
Not just because of the Far From Home thing, but like you said, and then.
And then they still have to put all the stones back.
Well, I just wanted to... There's a little part that happens. So Happy is sitting with Morgan, and he's like, trying to do what you do to a kid who's not really sure what happened, but it knows that, like, something happened. I don't want to say it again. Her father is dead. And I don't know how old she is, like 7?
I think she's 5.
5? Okay.
Yeah, because she wasn't born before the snap.
Right.
So
because in Infinity War, he says he had a dream that they had a kid.
Yeah,
that
so
she was pregnant.
She's like 5. 4 or 5. Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think the actress was a bit older than that because it's hard to get a 5-year-old to do what you want them to do.
Right. And then Happy is like, "Are you hungry? What do you want?" She's like, "Cheeseburgers." It's like, your dad liked cheeseburgers. I'll get you 1,000 cheeseburgers or something like that.
I'll get you all the cheeseburgers you want or something.
Which is just a nice little final callback to Iron Man. After they get Tony back from the desert, he says he could go for a cheeseburger, which was just a nice...
Which you had to tell me because I haven't seen Iron Man in years.
We're going to watch it.
And I had to watch it for the first time under duress because I had seen Avengers first.
Yeah.
And I was like, after Joss Whedon writing Tony Stark, anybody else was going to just pale in comparison. Because at that point, I still thought Joss Whedon was the be-all, end-all. But
as much as it is Joss Whedon writing...
It's also RDJ.
Like 100%.
Not 100.
I mean...
Like 95.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, and apparently you told me about this, that the I Love You 3000 was something he says to his actual kids.
Yeah.
And he wanted it to be in the movie.
Like, online, there was something that was like, all of the Marvel movies' runtimes added together would equal 3,000.
Yeah.
And then there were people arguing that it was just because he says, "I love you tons," which is 2,000 pounds, and she says, "I love you 3,000," which is more. But it's also something that RDJ says to his own kids that they wanted to include, which is sweet.
Yeah, so there was that moment, which possibly... Well, no, there were a couple of things that sort of possibly set up the idea of Morgan, taking on her father's mantle, as it were. So that would be pretty cool, but that's obviously a bit down the line.
A bit, yeah.
A bit. Yeah, so then we have the last thing that has to be done is the stones have to be put back in their time. So Cap volunteers to be the one to do that. Professor Hulk is the one like manning the machine. And Sam and Bucky are there. Just, they're there.
No,
so,
they do say not like goodbyes, but they do have like, I'm glad you're back type stuff.
What's up, bro?
Yeah.
No homo.
And then so the plan is to put the stones back where they were, and then he'll just come back.
And it's gonna, he takes however long he needs to take, and it's 5 seconds in real time. So they count to 5, and then Hulk presses the button, and Steve doesn't materialize. Like, what?
It's like he jumped right past this point in time.
Blew right past his window or something. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And then is it Sam or Bucky that's like...
Bucky is like nods.
And there's a figure sitting on a bench by himself. And it's Steve using old man technology.
Yeah, they did the opposite. Instead of making people young, they made him look old. And he's just sitting on the bench. And he's like... Sam, again, walks up on his left. And they have this conversation. He's like, did something go wrong or did something go right? And he's like, being real coy about it.
Yeah. But basically,
yeah, it went according as planned.
He put all the stones back, and then he decided to stay and live his life.
Yeah, he got a life.
Like Tony told him to do. So he got to, go find Peggy and live out their life together.
Yeah.
Which is...
At some point, he, shakes Sam's hand and then puts his other hand over top of it, and you see there's a wedding ring.
Yeah.
And Sam's like, "You gonna tell me about her?" And he's like, No, I don't think I will.
And then we go back and we see them dancing.
You skipped over what happens before.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted to close out Cap.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, like they show us back in time, and we see Steve dancing with Peggy. 'Cause he finally got his dance.
Yeah.
He owed his best girl a dance, and they got it. So then, because that was the last.
That was the last scene.
Yeah, so before that.
Fine,
okay, whatever.
It's okay.
Sam is talking about how he doesn't know how he's going to wrap his mind around living in a world without Captain America. Oh, am I going to do it?
If you want. You're giving me all the cool parts.
And then Steve, pulls his shield out of a bag, and
he's like,
"You don't have to." Or,
I've been thinking about that. And then he shows him the shield, and he just hands it
to him. And I'm like, really? Really? This is it? Because it's so nice. Because, like, I think Tumblr had told me that, like, in the comics, Sam becomes Captain America.
Sam or Bucky.
Yeah, so it could have gone either way. I'm glad they picked Sam.
Yeah.
Because that's where we are in the world. That's what we need. And I'm really excited about how angry racists are going to be by a black Captain America.
There are memes going around where it's like a shot of it's Photoshop, but it's Sam or Anthony Mackie as Falcon, but like wearing a cap suit, and then it shows like this very obviously like your white typical racist,
sure,
like looking at their phone crying, like, I can't believe this is Cap now. But it's very much like, A, it needs to be done. B, it's something that exists in the comics anyway.
Right.
And C, like, who the fuck cares? Like,
right.
Cap got his story.
Right. That was beautifully closed out. And, yeah, he got to live his life, but the world still needs a Captain America. Bucky's not super interesting without Cap, because their bro-ship.
Like, how much more can you do with his character?
Right.
He's basically Cap 2.
He's been the story's whipping boy since since the first Avengers, TBH. So I mean, like, we're good. Bucky's good. I'm so excited.
It's nice that he's alive and like is friends with T'Challa.
Yeah, that's cool.
He could just fuck around on Wakanda and just be the White Wolf.
Yeah, and that's great.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Like, because we've been talking extensively about, like, where could Marvel possibly go from this? Because, like, once you've fought, like, the universe on this scale, like, there's nothing really bigger. Like,
the only thing that, I keep going back to is Galactus, which is that large guy that I have. They introduced him in one of the Fantastic Four movies. Like, I think it was Rise of the Silver Surfer, because basically Galactus eats worlds, and the Silver Surfer goes to those worlds and, like, makes them edible. Like, that's a very boiled down version of it. It's definitely not as stupid as that.
Oh, really?
I mean, it might be.
It's called the Silver Surfer. Like,
he's silver and he surfs. What more do you want?
Sounds like an inspirational surfing sports movie.
Yeah. So that's because he's literally larger than life and can, like, swallow whole planets.
And, like, you'd also talked about, like, a DC crossover.
That would be... So it all depends on how long they do this for. Yeah. Because it definitely has an end date.
Really?
Like, not that they've announced, but I'd imagine it does.
I mean, there's going to be an expiration date on our tolerance for this.
That's what I mean. Because, like, as many comic books and comic book characters exist, there's only so much you can do. And
there's already quite a bit of saturation.
Not just in movies, but all over streaming services and TV.
Yeah, and I mean, in pop culture, trends rise and fall. Yeah. Like, comic books came into vogue, like, a decade ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, they weren't, like, and the popularity has risen. I can't, like, there's definitely going to be a drop in the wake of Endgame, because, I mean, a lot of people were on board for those actors.
Yeah.
And some of them will get to keep, like, I think Hemsworth is still going to be, which is perfect. We didn't talk about that at all, Thor goes off with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which is beautiful.
He
and
leaves
after
New
Ragnarok, it's
Asgard
where he belongs.
to Valkyrie,
yeah,
so
Valkyrie's
that she can run it,
which is great.
Yeah.
I will pay money for as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like there will still be some familiar faces. They aren't starting over completely new, but.
And that's the thing we also talked about is, provided Cap or Tony was the one to fight it, and the other one didn't.
Yeah, and
have
we could
them
have cameos
occasionally, not overdo it, but like RDJ in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
But even less than that.
Because he was
Stanley
definitely a big
cameos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I do think that should have been Stanley's final.
Yeah, that would have been really
final
good.
cameo. I mentioned this in private before, but
in secret,
the way they make Captain America, Steve Rogers, look older, he just has that look that if you put glasses on him, those big black glasses, it would look a lot like Stan Lee, which would have been
really
nice.
Cool.
Because in, I think it's Man of Steel, one of the first times Superman takes flight, there's this moment where he's blasting through like the atmosphere and there's all this wind rushing and light and everything. I don't think it's been confirmed, but there's a moment where it looks like they put Christopher Reeve's face over him, like the way the light hits it just right, it looks like him, and it was a very sweet just like exactly like respecting what's come before. Yeah. The problem is obviously is that Stan Lee had filmed his cameo. Yeah. And Cap isn't technically his character. Like he didn't create it as much as he did like the Hulk and Iron Man
or Black
and everyone
Panther,
else.
I think.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it was Jack Kirby.
Well, whatever.
That created the character, but it would have
been
nice.
Stan Lee is the queen of Marvel, like the figurehead.
Yeah. Just a Jewish boy from Brooklyn.
At one point during that's how Peter Parker gets the gauntlet. Yeah. His Cap yells, "Hey, Queens!" That's right, because Cap is Brooklyn. Yeah. And he just tosses it. Yeah. Yeah. There were so many good little moments. How long are we?
We're good.
Okay. Where we talked about Into the Spider-Verse being a love letter to Spider-Man fans. Yeah. Endgame was the love letter to all of the people who have sat through all of these fucking movies. Right. And and I've tried really hard, since watching the movie, Stan Lee's whole thing was every comic book is somebody's first. And I've tried really hard to see if I could divorce Endgame from the whole experience of the MCU. Yeah. To see if it could be a standalone movie. And I can't be objective at this point. Well, I don't need.
Here's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
So you and I, we're gonna have 2 kids. One of them gets to watch all of the Marvel movies.
And the other one just
watches Endgame.
I love
it. And then we compare.
I love it.
So that's the only way we can get unbiased results.
It's true. And we can't talk about superheroes with our children.
No, we can't.
It's rough. Only with the one.
And we have to make them watch it in the timeline that they were released. So every year they get a Marvel movie. Right. Maybe sometimes they get 2, but they have to wait
the requisite amount of time. We're doing that with Harry Potter too.
Yeah. So that it's been 10 years that they've been waiting for Endgame. The one. The other one already knows what happens and he can't spoil it for the other kid or else we murder them.
Goodness.
Sorry, we got real dark.
We?
I did. No, we ground them. I don't know. Whatever.
We murder them. It's fine. We do not love them 3,000. No. We love them negative 3,000. Endgame was really good.
Yeah, it was.
In summation.
It was dope. It was. Yeah. That's the thing is I don't know how any other movie could top it. And that's, I know that's shitty to say because people put a lot of work into movies, but this one was not only was it 3 hours long, which I know movies have existed that have been 3 hours long before, but
it didn't feel
like 3 hours.
I wasn't resentful of it for being 3 hours.
Obviously they could have trimmed some things here and there.
Yeah, it could have been 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah, maybe.
There was not a lot that felt extraneous.
Right. And the mere build-up, just 10-year build-up, and then the build-up to Endgame being this is it.
The fact of its existence is pretty remarkable.
Yeah. Nothing has ever existed like that before.
Right.
And, as we were saying, what do you do next? The only thing that could be close is like Disney getting the rights to DC properties and then doing, like they do in the comics, like an annual crossover event. But for that to happen, you have to build up your DC universe in a way that's not boring and the same, but interesting and puts these characters
they have
in
to
light.
Feel different.
Yeah,
because then
you
the
could
crossover.
Keep Marvel light and happy and DC dark and whatever, but you have to make them interesting on
better
their own.
Movies.
Yeah, but we don't want to get.
We don't have time for that. So go see Endgame.
Yeah. If you haven't, you just ruined everything.
We just ruined everything.
No, they ruined it. We gave them warning.
We told them, and we're gonna call this podcast like Endgame spoilers.
Yeah, it's gonna be all over. Not even the description.
We're not
Endgame
fucking around.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Which the other day we were watching. Yesterday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Nine. No, 2 days ago.
We were
Brooklyn
watching
Nine-Nine on regular television, and there was an Endgame trailer.
And it had. I was going to say Thor getting the hammer. It had Cap getting the fucking hammer.
Like, it did a good job of not spoiling anything, but then it showed the Endgame title card, and then it showed Cap getting the hammer in his hand in that exact moment. And it's like, what the fuck did you guys just do?
Yeah.
Like, I know they lifted the ban on the spoilers, but like, that was such an exciting cool moment.
Ugh.
That if it had been spoiled, I would have been upset that it had been spoiled.
I don't know that it would have landed the same.
No.
You wouldn't have shrieked
said,
in the theater, yeah.
No. Cool.
Involuntary.
No, because I was like, I see the hammer, and I remember the moment in the theater, like my legs were bouncing. I was like, Thor's gonna get the hammer. Thor's gonna get the hammer. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Because it hits Thanos, and I'm like, awesome, he did his thing, and then he's coming back, and it goes right past Thor.
What?
And then he gets it, swings back, and looks with his shield, and it's just like, he's worthy.
Like, normally we look at each other sometimes, like, during movies. I don't think we look at each other.
You look at me during movies, and it takes me out of the moment.
Blah,
and if you had looked at me or tried talking to me, I would have been upset. You didn't, so we're fine.
You just spit on me for, like, the 4th time.
I get really excited about
noticed.
Cap getting the hammer.
I know. You almost said Thor too, didn't you?
Yeah, it's very hard.
Because it's Thor and his hammer.
Yeah.
Alright.
The hammer.
We good?
I guess so.
Great.
Until we watch it a third time, and then we talk about it on another podcast. But cool, we almost ran the length of, I don't know, it's been an hour and 50 minutes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say we almost ran the length of the movie.
I was gonna, but then I was like, that's not right.
Me?
No.
Okay.
So this is about the scene where they are back in time, and...
Okay, you're trying to string it out to 2 hours, aren't you?
No. I'm not.
Goodbye,
no,
I'm leaving.
Thank you for listening to this Avengers Endgame spoilery-filled episode. I'm your host, Matthew. Cap got Thor's hammer, Danko.
I'm Hillary. I'm here too.
She doesn't care about showmanship. It's fine. Bye. Once the show ends, please don't shed those tears. We'll come back again, so have no fear. Oh, we told you that it just might end up this way. What's the show called again? You cannot be saying, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you warn me?